Ladies and gentlemen, I have spent the last month not only using the Pixel Fold, but also testing a whole number of different accessories, cases, this, that, and the other thing for this device. In this video, I'm going to go over a relatively long list of my favorite such accessories for, like I said, the Pixel Fold. These are not necessarily the best accessories, but they're the ones I've tested, and they're the ones that I can quite happily recommend to you fine folk. As always, there are links in the description down below to every product I mention, and most, if not all of these links will be affiliate links. If you click them and then purchase something, I will earn commission from that purchase, and it's a great way to help support the channel without doing anything you weren't probably already going to do. So with all that being said, let's jump into my list of my favorite Pixel Fold accessories right now. So we're going to start off with skins and cases, and we'll begin with skins. And this is a website called SopiGuard, S-O-P-I, Soppy. I don't really know how that's supposed to be pronounced. We're going to go with SopiGuard. They have some very inexpensive skins for the Pixel Fold. And while I've not used one specifically for the Pixel Fold, I have used them for devices like my Surface Duo 2, and they've held up very well. They're not as thick as Dbrand skins, but for $11, you really can't go wrong. And they have a whole plethora of different finishes, different styles, very much like Dbrand. Not all of the Dbrand type stuff is here, but there are a ton of different looks that you could go with, going from, fake leather, which is what you just had on the screen there, all the way to these color shifting things. Lots of cool stuff there. And like I said, pretty darn inexpensive. Of course, Dbrand does also exist. They're more expensive. They're probably thicker. They're a bit nicer in terms of their quality, $24.95. And then, of course, they do have these real leather skins, which is what I've been using on mine, and it is absolutely delightful. I love this leather skin for the Pixel Fold, so definitely another great option there. So now let's look at a couple of cases. We're going to start with the Dbrand case. Now this is not one I have personally tested, but I do know a couple of other creators who have, and they seem to like it quite a bit. For me, I think it's a bit too bulky, and that's why I've not invested the money into it. It is also $60, so it's not necessarily a cheap case, but you can see some different options here in terms of the skin. You can basically put whatever skin on top of this case that you like for the most part. I don't think all of them are there, but most of them are there. You've got a nice kickstand that sticks out of the back there, so you can actually have it kickstand up in different orientations. Apparently it is quite rugged and quite nice in terms of its build quality, but again, this is not one I've tested, but people I trust have said it is quite good. Another one that's a bit more expensive that, again, I have not tested, but I have seen so many people test and post pictures of, and I know a ton of my creator buddies that have gone with this particular case. This is the official Pixel Fold case. You know it's going to fit well. You know it's going to be well made. It is what it is. Again, lots of good recommendations for this one from all across the internet. Moving on to some cases that I have had direct contact with. This is the Tudia Dual Shield Grip design for the Pixel Fold. It is $39.99, so we're coming down a little bit in price. I've actually got a full review up on the channel of this one, and like I said, I do have it on hand. To quickly summarize, it is a pretty decent case. It does fit very well. Mine is actually going on top of that Dbrand leather skin, so it doesn't fit quite as perfectly, but still, honestly, not too bad. Pretty decent. My biggest complaints were the fact that it was a little bit sharp here around the USB-C port, and that's where I tended to hold it with my pinky there. I wish that the cutout around the fingerprint scanner was a little bit bigger because it makes it kind of hard to get in there to that fingerprint scanner / power button. But otherwise, it is a pretty solid case. I think it's going to do a decent job of keeping your device protected as well. Another one on the more premium side is the Pitaka Aramid Fiber MagSafe case. This one is pretty decent as well, but I did have a few complaints about this one as well. So obviously you've got your MagSafe area down here that you can attach different things to. In fact, they've got their own little grip, which does work pretty darn well. We'll talk about it here in just a second also. But my biggest complaint with this one, again, there's a full review on the channel, but to quickly summarize it, it doesn't fit quite perfectly. It feels like there's just a little bit of looseness going on here that I don't necessarily love. And because of that, it actually fits better with my leather skin on it than it did with without. So they said that they're going to try and work on that and kind of reduce those tolerances a little bit. But from my sample, the one that I reviewed, the one that I purchased, it was just a little bit loose, and it did cause a few problems that I didn't necessarily love. From what I've been told, if you want an aramid fiber case, the best one on the market is probably this one from Later Case. It is a very similar design, $59. You have a couple of different color options. I don't believe that this one has the MagSafe stuff built in, which is a little bit of a bummer because it is nice to have that. But from what I've been told from other people, other creators, this one does fit really well. Jumping into some cheaper options. This one here from JE Tech, $14.99. And honestly, this guy is so much better than it has any right to be. Again, on top of my leather skin, it might look a little bit strange, but the cutout for the fingerprint scanner is definitely a little bit bigger, and they've added a cutout on the other side so that your thumb can reach kind of where it needs to be much more easily. I like that it's kind of transparent here. It is also one piece. There's a hinge bit on the top and the bottom, so this is not a two-piece case. It actually stays together, which means I actually trust it to stay on a little bit better than a two-piece one because you don't need any kind of adhesive or anything here to hold it in place. Honestly, for $14.99, this is a really, really solid option. For $44.99, we also have this crystal clear case from Spigen. This is another two-piece case, but it does feel extremely premium. This is what you would expect from this company. They always do a great job with their cases, and it's no exception here either. Perhaps you've got a skin that is a little bit thinner than this leather skin would be my recommendation, but maybe you want to show that off. Well, you can. Maybe you just like the look of the Pixel Fold and you don't want to be interrupting it with a case. This is also going to be a good option for you. This whole area is cut out, which makes it really nice and easy to get to your controls. Nothing is sitting on top of your controls or anything like that. And again, this is just a nice premium feeling case that does a really good job of protecting the device, but also not interrupting your ability to see how beautiful the Pixel Fold is. Now, outside the world of cases, perhaps you just want to add MagSafe to whatever case you're using, or maybe you're not using a case at all. I know several people who have attached this ESR ring to their device for $15.99. And again, this gives you the ability to use whatever MagSafe accessory you want to use. Things like these grips, chargers, whatever it might be, car docks and things like that for $15, $16. Not a bad price. As for screen protectors, I've only tested and used a single one. It is this Whitestone dome glass screen protector, $14.99 right now. And I'm actually very, very pleased with it. I'll have a full video out on it here in a day or so, but you can see where it is on the device with the little plastic contraption that comes with it. It is extremely easy to get this thing placed on the device exactly where you want it to be. It looks pretty nice. It's not sharp on the edges here, so when you're doing your back gesture or your home gesture, that's not really going to be a problem either. It is tempered glass. Really a lot to like here. Another accessory I've talked about on this channel multiple times is the Sleek Strip. It is a little bit on the pricey side for $23.99, but I've used this thing so much. And actually, I can't find it. I don't know what I've done with it. It may be attached to another case somewhere that I just can't find, and I may have left it someplace, but I swear I thought I had it sitting in a drawer. But anyways, I've used this thing on so many different cases. I've pulled it off and put 3M adhesive on it and replaced it. It makes a really good grip. For a device like the Pixel Fold, you're not going to be using it like this as a stand. It's going to be too heavy, but you could very easily place it somewhere in this region and use it as a grip. You basically pop it up and slide your hand inside that little gap, and you could use it as a grip. I did this with my Z Fold 4 for months. Really, really do enjoy the Sleek Strip. If you want to talk about bang for your buck, I've been using this thing since November of 2020. It is just the most simple, basic stand in the world. Amazon basic stand, actually. It's got a little button here that you press that allows you to change the angle of this bit here. And from there, you can just set your phone or tablet or whatever into this thing. It's rubberized down here to hold it in place. Two little rubber feet there, so nothing's going to get scratched. This is just a simple, basic stand that I've been using for years, and I will continue to use. Extremely nice. So here's one for $60 that is a stand and a USB-C hub. Now, unfortunately, the Pixel Fold does not do video out over USB-C. So even though this has an HDMI port, you're not going to be able to use it. But the other stuff is going to be absolutely functional. So you've got a couple of USB-A ports to attach different things. You have some card readers back here as well. And of course, it does do charging pass-through, and it is, of course, a stand. So if I took my Pixel Fold and plug it in, you should see here that it is, if that will go away, charging rapidly there on the screen. You can set it in this stand, and then of course you can plug in USB drives, SD cards, other USB-A accessories, mouse, keyboard, things like that. All of that stuff should work just fine in this stand. My biggest complaint is because of where the charging port is, it does kind of have to be slightly off center. This base is fairly heavy, but you're going to have to kind of adjust this to have it sitting at the angle that you most like it to be at, but you can do that relatively easily. Again, you can't use that HDMI port, which is a bummer for sure, and might make it not as worth it for you. But I thought I would throw it in here anyways because it is a very premium stand that I have used on so many different devices now. Here is an absolute must-have if you're using something like the Pixel Fold. Get yourself a Pixel stand. This is one that sits right here in front of me at all times. This is the one I would recommend most. It is $80, but the reason you're going to want this one is because there's this little slot down here. What that's for is it's a fan. It actually pulls in air and blows it up the back of the device to keep it cool. And we're talking about the Pixel Fold, a device that does get a bit too warm while wireless charging. This is fantastic. And of course, when you drop it in here, you have the option to basically turn your Pixel Fold into a Google Home hub with home control options and things like that right there on the screen while it's on this wireless charger. This thing is awesome. But there is another option. I've purchased one of these. I've actually purchased a couple of these things now for 20 bucks. The Gen 1 stand basically does the exact same thing without the active cooling, but you can get it for like $20 now. Really, really good. That sits at my bedside. This is in here too. Just like no-brainer options for the Pixel Fold. And if you do get one of those MagSafe cases or that ring from earlier, I can recommend this Spigen OMAG ring, which I've used on my S23 Ultra quite a bit. It is very nice, very premium, does a great job either as a grip, not going to work as a stand again for the Pixel Fold, should not be taken as a stand, but very good as a grip. And then of course this is the Pitaka one that I showed you earlier. It is $24.99. Same thing, it's a grip. Don't think of it as a stand for the Pixel Fold. Back into the world of USB-C hubs, I am going to drop a couple of them in the description down below. There's this one from Anker, which is a 7-in-1. You can see all of the capabilities here. Again, HDMI is not going to be a thing. And there's also this one from Ugreen. Same thing. HDMI will not be a thing, but you can see the other things that it is able to do. This isn't something that as many people are going to want to do on the Pixel Fold when compared to something even like Surface Duo or the Z Fold that has HDMI and has Samsung DeX, but it is an option. It is something that you might be interested in doing. So those are a couple of good ones. I own both of these. I've used both of them a ton. Actually, I think I have two of the Ugreen ones at this point for some reason. They're both really solid. Let's go over some charging bricks now. Of course, this thing is $1,800 and does not come with a charger in the box. So I'm going to give you some options. Let's start off with the Ugreen AceCube 30 watt. I believe this is one that I used at my bedside for a good long time. 30 watt, that is as fast as the Pixel Fold is able to charge. It is extremely small, very compact, very hard to see in this image actually, but you can kind of see some scale there. Very, very small. And again, 30 watts, $14. Can't really beat it. You, of course, do have for $25 the official Google Pixel charging brick. Personally, I wouldn't spend twice as much for it, but I'll leave it down there in case you want to get with the OEM. The charger that has since replaced the AceCube is the Ugreen dual charger because I've got to charge my Pixel Watch as well. This one does 45 watts total, $40. It is also extremely compact, very, very well built. Ugreen continues to make some of my favorite chargers on the market, just really solid. Of course, it does have wireless charging. I mentioned the Pixel stand already. Maybe you want to go with something a bit cheaper. This one by UTech is $18.99. This thing sits next to my couch in the living room, and I drop phones on it all the time, and it works relatively well. 10 watt max wireless charging is fine because the Pixel Fold does not wirelessly charge very, very quickly. If you want to go with a bigger brand, there's this one by Spigen that does 15 watts for $24.99. Again, it's going to be very, very similar because the Pixel Fold does not wirelessly charge at 15 watts anyway, so it'll be about the same speed. You're just going to be getting a name brand, a brand that you've probably heard of for a little bit more money. This is one of my favorite things in the list. This is a USB-C cable that has a screen on it that actually will tell you how fast you are charging. This works with anything you can plug it into, and you will now know what the wattage going from your charging brick into your device is. $12.99 a piece. I think I have about 5 or 6 of these there strewn throughout my house. There's probably one within reach of me at any moment. They look like a pretty normal USB cable, but they just have a screen, and I think that's really cool. Let's look at some sort of productivity accessories. We have this tri-folding keyboard for $49. This is not the exact one that I own, but it looks almost identical. I've had this thing for, I don't even know how many years at this point, probably over a decade. It is Bluetooth. You can pair between different devices, and it works really, really well for $49. Very, very compact. Might make a lot of sense for something like this if you're using it for like word processing on the go. Here's another option that is a trifold that has a trackpad on the side. So you don't have to have a separate mouse, so you're not having to reach up and touch the touchscreen. This is one that I got several comments about when I talked about this keyboard last. A lot of people said, hey, this one's a bit cheaper and has a trackpad, and I've been using it for a while, so this is one I can probably, relatively confidently recommend to you guys. As far as a Microsoft branded one, something that might be a little bit more of a name brand, for $59, this is simply a bifold, but the name brand is there, and I've also heard really good things about this one as well. I've also used the Microsoft Arc mouse off and on for a long time. This thing is very, very slim. It makes a great companion if you're using these tiny little keyboards. This thing is so small, super easy to toss in a bag, and works fine with pretty much any device. We also have the Logitech Pebble, which is a much cheaper alternative to the Arc mouse, but remains extremely thin and easy to toss into a bag. Not quite as thin as the Arc mouse, but it's also only $22. Would make a nice companion as well. What about for mobile gaming? It's not necessarily the best gaming device, but it's pretty decent. It has a large screen. Emulation in particular is going to be fine. The 8BitDo SN30 Pro is a fantastic wireless controller in particular for that sort of emulation stuff, and with some of the stands I've talked about, or using the Pixel Fold in tent mode, mobile emulation should be really, really solid here. But if you want to keep things really simple and cheap, for $19.99, this thing is incredibly pocketable. You can actually put it on a key ring if you want to go that right. You see how small this thing actually is. Again, for mobile emulation, playing some retro games, Mario, things like that, this thing is a lot of fun. But if you want to get a bit more serious, we have the Nacon MGX. I've got an entire video talking about not only this grip, so you can see exactly how well this works for $80, but also this next one, the GameSir X2 for $59. Both of these are fantastic. Again, full video on these already. I'll have a link next to the purchasing links for this one so that you can see both of those. There's also the MGX Pro that every time I talk about the MGX, people say, you should get the Pro, get the Pro, get the Pro. So I'm going to put the Pro in here as well. I'm not using it personally, but everybody rants and raves about that grip. I actually realized after I finished filming and editing that I forgot to mention smartwatches. I've been using the Pixel Watch since I got the Pixel Fold, which is not a coincidence. They sent it with the Pixel Fold when I purchased it, so that's why I've been using that. It's a great smartwatch. The battery life has really improved since it first came out. This is definitely a good option. Another good option, though, is something like the Amazfit Bip 3. This is another smartwatch that I've used very recently. Battery life is great on it. So if you're looking for something more on the basic side, something like the Bip 3 is probably a decent option. A little bit scratched up there, but it got wore a lot. Also have got to name drop the Mobvoi TicWatch Pro 5. This thing is an absolute beast. Battery life, multiple days, 3-4 days at a time. Dual layer display, newest processor. This thing is an absolute beast. As far as earbuds for the Pixel Fold, these are my 3 favorites, my 3 picks for earbuds. These are the Pixel Buds A series. I really do like these because of these little wingtips here that allow them to stay in your ear. Really, really nice. Although the audio quality as well as noise cancellation is just not there. There is no noise cancellation, no pass-through mode. Audio quality is not quite as good as the others. The mid-tier option here, these are normally both the same price at $199, but the Sony LinkBuds S can be had right now for $148, which makes them an absolute steal. These things are fantastic. They are very, very lightweight. They stay in my ears really, really, really well. I wear these things all the time. These are my daily drivers. ANC, pass-through, Google Assistant. It's all there. Really, really solid. And then the Pixel Buds Pros. If you want to go, full Pixel mode and go to the top end, these are very good. The sound quality is quite solid as well. I just wish that they stayed in my ear as well, but they are still a very solid set of earbuds. You're not really going to go wrong with any of these, but if you want ANC, it's going to be one of these two. Let's round things out with car accessories. This is another thing that I made an independent video on, but this is the mount that I've been using with every phone I've owned, actually, for the last 3 years, and it works fantastically with the Pixel Fold. If you don't have a CD tray, you can also use this variant that has a suction cup. It's the same thing from here back. It just uses a suction cup instead. Works great either in phone mode or opened up as a tablet. Really, really good. This is the car charger I've been using for a really long time, as you can see here. $8.99, 30-watt charging. It's not a brand that you've probably heard of, but I've been using it for forever, and it's done really well. But if you want to get a brand that maybe you've heard of a bit more, couple of options. Here's one from Ugreen that is unbelievable. For $40, this thing does 130 watts of total charging. 3 different ports. Charge everything you want in your car. Maybe that's overkill. Here's one for $26 that is 63 watts. Again, overkill for the Pixel Fold, but it's a brand name you've heard of, and it's probably built a bit nicer than my cheap $8 one, $9 one, even if it has held up pretty darn well for me over that amount of time. Guys, that is my list of accessories for the Google Pixel Fold. If there's something in here that you think just works beautifully with the Pixel Fold, drop a comment down below so that we can all see it and we can all take a look at it and just help each other out, help each other find ways to make the best, to get the most out of their Pixel Fold. If you purchased something through one of my links, I do appreciate it. Thank you so much for that, guys. Subscribe for more content like this. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.